was the ingenue that appeared, and she took her under her wing.
I wrote a song for Sandie, we went in and recorded it.
We just went straight in with the song.
Which flopped.
No, that was our first attempt.
The sound was very tinny and sounded very bad demo-y.
Were you disappointed?
No, I thought it was wonderful. I went on Ready, Steady, Go, and I couldn't believe I was actually inside the box instead of like watching it, putting my makeup on to go down to the Pally.
It was a very important aspect of the fact that one of us, not that I was from the factory floor, I was secretary, but one of us had kind of broken through.
She was very of the street, and she was very unpretentious, and she was quite raucous and quite rough, almost.
By this time, I'd met people like Kathy McGowan, and I'd developed like a little group of friends. They were so pro me and so for me that they were just waiting for the right song.
I'd like to go on now and do a number from my new album called Burt Bacharach Plays Burt Bacharach.
Evie went to America to look for a song, because you did that in those days.
There was hot competition either to latch onto American hits that hadn't been issued over here yet, or else to get to the people who wrote that stuff and get their hands on grade A material before one of the American stars recorded it.
Always something there to remind me.
I think, first of all, a first song is so incredibly important because it actually, it gels you and your public together anyway.
You'll always be a part of me.
And because of the ideas of the lyrics and the way that I was able to express all those kind of teenage sort of longings and the fact that most people at that age haven't found the person that they're going to be with for the rest of their life. So it was about that sort of wanting to have that relationship.
There's always something there to remind me.
I love it. I love the vocals, and there's always something there to remind me. And especially when it goes down, I was born to love you.
And I will never be free. You'll always be a part of me.
Ooh. And I just think that's just one of the greatest songs ever written. And the way she sings it, it's just both the melody and her voice, the vocals just totally complement each other.
It was what pop music was really all about, which was raw, amateurish, exciting, new, fresh sounds.
The effortlessness about it. She just sings and it wavers at the end, and she doesn't seem to have to do anything. She just opens her mouth and this great voice comes out.
I like that because it sounded as if she just walked in off the street, began to sing, and then just strolled home and bought some chips. Good old Essex.
She really was like Madonna, I suppose, is today. It was a real icon stuff.
Sandie was the mod icon.
Suddenly, the way that I actually was, just being like I am naturally and normally, seemed to be fashionable.
It fitted exactly the times.
I was born Sandra Goodrich. Evie's husband, Moisha, kept saying, we can't call her that silly name.
I asked if I could sing about New Lux, but they said no.
What would look good on a poster? So he's going through all these different names. And then Eve just dismissed all of them.
No.
And then suddenly he said,
just use your own words.
All right, Sandie Shaw.
Fantastic.
So she said, oh.
No.
And then he started laughing because he was playing on the fact that I didn't have shoes on.
Makes me feel beautiful all over, right down to my toes.
And Eve just didn't get the joke. And she suddenly said, but that's a great name.
You wanna see her, you wanna see her, oh yeah, so you...
I think Chris Andrews' songs were the most British gold records of the period. They're very teenage, very spot on.
In a way, there's sort of two kinds of pop music. There's pop music which you hear, which comes from a long way away. And then there's pop music which actually comes out of your own experience, with which you can identify, which provides a soundtrack to your own life.
You wanna see her, oh yeah, so you wait and wait.
Girl Don't Come, it's more like a sort of, scene out of Billy Liar or something.
You've been stood up, tears fill your eyes.
Everybody in America was kind of aware how huge I was here and wanted me to go there.
I think America had enough girl singers already.
And then we had Girl Don't come, and unfortunately, when they were asking for the label details, Chris and I were taking the piss out of Evie.
I don't think they really needed the British girls.
And she was trying to get us to be serious and asking for the details. What exactly is the title called? So we shouted out, "Girls Don't Come!"
You think I'm kidding?
Yeah, that's right. Girls Don't Come.
I swear to you, I know you don't believe me, but it's true.
No, G-I-R-L-S. Girls, that's fine. No, that's correct. They kept questioning her on this again and again. She never dropped.
Can I go, please?
The record was released, and it's sort of like marching up the charts. Then suddenly somebody realised what was on the label, and they pulled it out.
Good day. Right then, Sand.
Because obviously, in America, they were very straight about things like that. Girls still don't in America.
Excuse me, cut that out.
There was a political background to the reason that she didn't get the green card and get to the States. There was a lot of discontent about America's policy in Vietnam. There weren't many people ready to speak out about post-John Kennedy and Lyndon Johnson. Sandie was ready to speak about those things. And the Americans were very tetchy about people having a pop at their president.
Pop stars come to the Savoy to receive their Variety Club Awards for 1964. Here's Sandie Shaw coming up to say her piece. But when she gets there, she's quite overcome. Try singing it, Sandie.
I remember Sandie telling me, maybe privately, I mean, I don't know whether this should go over the air, but so what? She told me that she wanted to become famous so that she could have boyfriends and have people like her. And as soon as she became famous, she could never get boyfriends and people wouldn't come near her because they thought she was untouchable.
Sandie Shaw had a fantastic face. I mean, she had what I call like a movie star face.
And she was something of a singing clothes horse, really, Sandie. I mean, she had a nice voice, but her face was the thing that really launched a million records.
She didn't have the talent, then she wouldn't have lasted as long as she did.
Apart from Twinkle, I can't think of any woman that was writing her own songs. And basically, they didn't need to, because with Bacharach and David and Lennon McCartney, and in Sandie Shaw's case, Chris Andrews, they had a ready-made supply of hits.
I have waited a long, long time for somebody to call mine, and at last he's come along. Baby, oh, nothing can go wrong.
We'd meet maybe every week, every 2 weeks, and I would play songs through to Sandie on the piano.
He'd come and he'd have an idea, basic idea of the tune, and then I'd fiddle with it and change the lyrics a bit, and then ask him to do the middle this way and take the chorus there and put it there, and like craft the song with him.
She wouldn't even say that I like that or I don't like that. It would sort of, she'd start singing along to it, and I'd know that she'd like that particular song. And it was that work on that.
True love must be the greatest thing. I know now I see.
I remember I'd picked up this really old guitar, battered guitar in Spain, and I was sort of obviously just messing around with it, completely out of my brain, and playing along, and didn't know anything about what I was doing. And then the next day, I thought, oh, put the tape on, and there was this Long Live Love on it, with the chunk, tapping this guitar, and the whole song was there. The instrument bit with me, the whole thing was great.
This is the Braun Oral-B Ultra. The difference is all in the head. It's so compact it surrounds each tooth.
I have rather large feet, and Dagenham, they only used to do up to like size 5 or something. So, you know, it sounds sort of like hobbling along on these sort of like mermaid-type shoes that hurt so much.
There's something very vulnerable about being barefoot, particularly in such a shoe-centric fashion culture as the 60s.
There were traces of that sort of bohemian thing still around, and still traces of the Ban the Bomb thing, and it was kind of like an extension of that.
Well, I didn't like the barefoot image. That was one of the problems. I mean, they were, you know, like this. They were about twice the size of her head. But you had to work around it.
Because I'm Sandie Shaw, I don't trust anybody. There's about 3 people, 4 people that I trust implicitly. I think I trust most Evelyn, Taylor, business manager.
You see that? That is Sandie with the Queen. or the Queen was Sandie.
Eve Taylor was enormously important in Sandie Shaw's career. I mean, she really was a sort of daughter-mother fixation thing going on there, I think.
Evie maternal? Is a tarantula maternal?
You think I'm very hard, don't you? But I'm not.
She's bringing me down.
No, I'm not bringing you down because you know it's the truth. I'm not hard, believe me, I'm not.
She just used to manipulate people's psyches so they felt responsible to her.
She looked like Thor Hurd.
She looked like Ruth Ellis.
She was a most violent woman, verbally.
She would threaten to take their careers away from them if they didn't do as they were told.
You've got a pen, thanks very much.
There's another pen there.
All right.
I don't know what to say about Evie. You know, she's part of my life. She's obviously a very important part of my life. The other people that were with her are quite clear about their hatred of her. My feelings aren't that clear.
Ohne dich, da ist diese Welt so dunkel, so öde und leer. Right, yes. How's that? Have a go at that, love.
Can I say it? I didn't have to say it, let alone singing it.
Despite her seriously Dagenham Englishness, there was something of the gawky elegance of a Parisian about Sandie Shaw.
She's very reminiscent of Françoise Hardy. I mean, she'd have been European, she would have been a big international star, I'm sure.
Sandie had enormous success in France and Italy and Spain.
Here, even in those days, you were kind of the remnants of the old showbiz tradition. It was like girls were fillers. They were the legs, they were the tits and bums, and they were never tops of the bill.
I saw her at the Olympia in Paris, and it was frightening because we knew there that people, they get things thrown at them after the first song if they don't like it. She went on, and after the first couple of songs, she had them in the palm of her hand.
The culture in Europe was very much building up of this diva type thing, which is just so commonplace. Everybody takes it on board now. But it was really a very new introduction into people's ideas here, that you could be this grand idea of femininity and sort of like this wonderful sort of archetypal thing that sort of roused everybody's emotions. And to introduce that into Britain, was kind of what I was doing at the time in my own way.
Oh yes, I think Sandie Shaw certainly is a gay icon. I think that's got an awful lot to do with cheekbones, actually. You're going to have cheekbones like the north face of the Eiger, twice.
Tomorrow, I'll see him.
The area of being a woman as liability, and the record industry always gets a little bit nervous with that.
Either you do Eurovision or you don't work on the BBC again. That was the ultimatum.
The girls were expected to do Eurovision.
Here it is, song number 4.
But you would never have expected Mick Jagger to do it.
Puppet on a string.
Again and again and again, I kept saying no. No, I don't care. I don't care if I never sell another record.
Did she ask your advice on Eurovision, to the whether to do it or not?
I don't remember that she did, no.
And then Adam came on the phone, and Adam said to me, oh, go on, girl. You know, either way, you're going to win.
And if she had done, I probably would have said, yeah, do it.
You're going to get it record. And I listened.
I've got to say, I like Puppet on a
So do
String.
I.
I really do. I just...
We don't talk about that. Not round here.
Some of the cheesiest things that people do as well often turn out to be the most well-remembered, or the most kind of, they turn from really uncool to being really, really cool.
Yeah.
Puppet on a string, was it really that bad? The answer is yes. It was bad. It was worse than we actually think it was.
It's not such a bad song in itself, and the whole thing's not so bad. It's just not me.
Like a puppet on a... Sandie Shaw has gone on record as saying that the Eurovision Song Contest has destroyed her career. Well, it's just not true. The Eurovision contest saved her career.
Sandie Shaw.
She'd had a long run of hits with Chris Andrews. It was a great formula, but it more or less run its course.
I would have had hit records after that, and they probably would have been the kind of music that I would have liked to have sung.
Not only did it win, it gave her a third #1 record at a time when the idea of her even having a top 10 record was about as likely as flying to the moon.
It was a huge fight after that. I wasn't able to actually redeem myself on my own terms, musically.
On the one side was this highly intelligent woman, iconoclastic in her appearance, moving across all areas of the sort of social strata, and then getting ghettoized into producing teeny pulp. And that she didn't like at all.
The feet that launched 1,000 discs are barefoot no more. A shoe collection launched by Sandie Shaw, and pretty psychedelic it was. Flashing lights and twisting torsos transformed this Chelsea restaurant into a bizarre bazaar.
I kind of got philosophical about the fact that I wasn't actually developing as a musician. It became less important because I'd found Jeff. I'd married, became pregnant. These devils that stop you from being on course. Well, you know, again, that was the right thing for me to do at that time.
Pop music, of course, has a shelf life of about 6 months if you're doing it right, it seems to me. The thing is, you can get used to having lots of money and being famous in about 30 seconds. You never get used to not having money and nobody paying you much attention at all.
Mid-70s for Sandie was an awful period.
I don't talk about it an awful lot because it was very dark and very gloomy. I was incredibly depressed, and my marriage was breaking down, and I didn't know what to do with the rest of my life. I hadn't actually thought it out past the age of 24, to be quite honest.
I'd gone out of business. Somebody had set light to it, and we never recovered from it. We went through a period of literal homelessness. Everything that we had crumbled. And also, Sandie had this added problem of not having an outlet for her creative skills.
She had her sabbatical, she had her time off, and she came back into a new industry where the restrictions were less distinct and less repressive. And that was when her real personality came through.
It's a tremendous honour.
Morrissey, how did you form this professional relationship with Sandie?
Well, I just had a chance to meet her through people at the record company. And
He's a fibber. He used to write me fan letters.
Well, yes.
Did you really? Did you really?
No.
Yes, short ones, very short ones.
The first one was quite long.
I know, but the second one was really short.
I thought, what a weirdo.
It was so great for me personally that I don't actually remember it happening. It was almost as if I blacked out for a period of time.
It was perfect in credibility terms that she comes back with the Smiths instead of... really horrible to have seen her on the stage with Jerry and the Pacemakers and the Trog.
Having sort of like thrown away the limitations of the kind of songs that you could sing or the way she could sing them, I started experimenting with the view that people had of me. I thought, well, it must be very boring just seeing somebody sort of sing like straight vertical like that all the time.
I think what happens is that somebody, having grown up into a successful artist themselves, suddenly thinks, God, whatever happened to Sandie Shaw?
Nobody had thought of doing anything like that before. It was totally genuine. People have copied it since, you know, like they linked up Dusty with the Pet Shop Boys or Lulu with Take That. That's been like the way in for the older, maturer woman. But Morrissey thought of it first. He's a real original.
Why did the friendship end?
Sandie is a very highly strung person. She had success very quickly in her life. Suddenly it was gone.
So I actually think that you can continually reincarnate yourself in one lifetime, that you can live lots of different people, lots of different characters, lots of different lifestyles.
Sandie, I know, would love to still perform.
The most important thing is that I keep trying something new.
She's now a working psychotherapist, finds that the two careers are not that synergetic.
We asked her when we first met her, do you like performing? You know, do you still want to carry on Do you do a lot? She went, well, I'm already famous and rich, why should I?
And it doesn't matter if you're a famous pop star or a housewife, or a secretary, or a big businesswoman. Women have gone through this huge shift.
Emily Pankhurst might have started it.
I've tried everything that's occurred to me.
But these ladies in the 60s really began to give it some momentum and clout.
I don't have the normal sort of like break limits that I think you're supposed to have. I just think, well, if I can dream it, then I can be it.
You hurt inside, you wanna die. You have a date for helpless date tonight.
Stay with us here on 4 Brick Girls Profiles Lulu in a couple of minutes.